If you look at the game in a literal sense, Flesh, Blood, and Concrete is a game about being trapped inside a building made of meat, typical horror game stuff. But throughout the course of the game, we learn more about the history of our main character. We realize the grim reality of their situation and what is really happening. Before I go any further, I really recommend the game, so if you don't want to be spoiled and want to play it for yourself, it is free on itch.io. Link is in the description. Also a warning, the topics of this video contain discussions of life, death, and mental struggles. The game begins with your mother telling you to go outside and play with the other kids. You pet your cat, go downstairs, and head outside. When you approach the other kids, they are not friendly at all. They think you're weird and don't want to play with you. There's also a dead body over to the right. But the kids don't care, and crows come and cover the body. Then you wake up. That must have been a flashback, because now you're all grown up. Someone knocks on the car window. You're apparently in the middle of her courtyard after you kept driving and ran out of gas. She invites you inside so you don't freeze to death. She shows you her room on the first floor and promises to find you some gasoline. The girl is quite young and maybe doesn't know what it is, which is maybe why she pronounces it weird. The room looks a lot like your childhood home, and the room next door does as well, except for the fact that there's some raw meat on the table. You can also find a stove and reflect upon how you burned your hand on the stove as a kid. And in a bathroom, you find a cracked mirror where you can barely see your face. You think to yourself, thank God. This remark about being thankful they can't see their face and the flashback to their childhood sets up that our main character is quite isolated and insecure about themselves. It also sets up the supernatural aspect to the story. The apartment mirroring their childhood home is the first clue that this place is messing with our mind. It morphs to us and shows us something familiar. Going up the stairs to the second floor, she runs up behind you. You ask about the gasoline, and she dodges the question, instead fixating on the idea that you're going to leave. They reveal their name is Nika. In response, we learn that our main character's name is Lera. And by the way, the player looks a little boyish, but is a woman, just a tomboy perhaps. Nika then goes off to ask her family about the gasoline. Exploring the rooms, Nika's there, despite her running off the other way. She offers Lera bread. Lera tries to reject Nika's offer, but she says, "You drove all the way from the capital. That's really far away, so you shouldn't refuse." The game is set in Russia, with the capital referring to Moscow. The town she is currently in is likely some abandoned town in Siberia. Lera remarks, "If it's poison, I hope it kills me painlessly." But it's not. It's a honey cake. Nika saved it for someone else. She read in a book that it's more fulfilling when you give food to someone else instead of eating it yourself. Wandering off, in the bathroom you wonder why no one has torn the piping out of the abandoned apartment, since it sells well. In the room to the left, there is a VHS player you can use to play the tapes scattered around the apartment. One is a political film which is just a woman staring at a screen, and movie film 2 is a strange scene of morphing visuals. In the room to the right, there's some weird stuff growing out of the bed. Nika is there with some bug-infested bread. Lera asks her, "Where is your family?" Nika responds, "We live all over the place." Before leaving this room, you get the feeling that you've been here before, maybe in a childhood fever dream. The room farthest to the right has a bunch of beds. Nika asks if you want to sleep. You decline, saying that you've been sleeping in your car. But it's not cozy, everything smells like exhaust. Lera then notices that on the wall, there's a mass of flesh and blood. Nika says it's just the insulation. Here, we get confirmation that Lera is really isolated. She's been driving away from the capital for a long time, enough to be sleeping in her car. Russia is really large, so it's not surprising that she could have spent many nights in the car before reaching this town. Up to the third floor, there's a few more rooms to explore. Over to the right, Nika's jumping on the bed again, next to a really moldy cake. She tells you that the gasoline is on the fourth floor. The last room on the 3rd floor contains a corpse being digested in slow motion by the mass of flesh that surrounds it. On the 4th floor to the left is a room with a bunch of guts. Further left, Nika is there with a nursery-like room with a bunch of cribs. In the room is a rocket. Lera remembers building rockets like this when she was a kid, hoping that moon men might be friendlier than the ones on Earth. To the right is more meat. Then Nika pops into the room. She asks you, if you drove all the way from the capital to here, were you scared of being alone? Lera responds, no, I didn't expect to make it this far, to be honest. Why? Well, I thought I'd die in a snowdrift or something. Nika continues questioning, why did you decide to start traveling then? Well, I thought it'd be nice to disappear quietly. Nika responds with some oddly specific advice, at least coming from a kid. No one disappears, Lera. We exist in the fabric of each other's memories forever. Then she leaves the room. Furthest to the right is a room with the aforementioned pipe oozing out gasoline. Lera collects some in a jar and then heads to the rooftop. There, Nika reflects about the stars. These are the same stars you've been watching, so even before you came here, we were looking at the same sky. Even if I can't leave, I'm connected with everyone through this endless sky. We see the same moon too. Nika then tells Lera that when she grows up, she's gonna go to the moon. Everyone will see her, and she will see everyone on Earth. Lera reflects on this, telling her that when she was her age, she wanted to be a cosmonaut too. But she changed her mind since space travel isn't profitable anymore. Nika says she will just sell moon rocks then. This conversation builds up the second theme of Lera's character. Not only is she lonely and isolated, but she has also given up on all the dreams she once had. She drove out here to disappear, and perhaps that is why she ended up in such a strange town. Next, you go back down, but the stairs have shifted. The rooms are no longer familiar. You have to walk through a labyrinth of doors. You walk back into rooms, but they change and morph. A room shatters in front of you. This continues until you find Nika again. You ask her what she did to you. Nika is just glad to see you. She thought you left. She offers to lead you back to your car. You realize that she's made of the same stuff as the pulsing meat. Nika ignores this and talks about missing you when you leave, and asking about writing letters. Lera wonders if this is hell, her brain creating an amalgamation of all her memories. Now you're outside. Nika says she will miss you really badly, and hopes you won't forget about her. You promise and start walking towards your car, only to find that it is wrecked, and has been for a long time. Long enough for a tree to grow out of it and then die. Here it really begins to sink in for Lera. She isn't trapped here in a physical sense. She was trapped within something even more inescapable. Perhaps it just hasn't fully set in yet what exactly that is. You go back to Nika and she asks if you want to meet her family and if you trust her. You respond that you don't care if you die anymore, obviously feeling hopeless after the car was revealed to be wrecked. Nika says that's wrong. You don't want to die. You only want to escape from suffering. You want to return to the womb. Endless happiness without interruption. That's a fantasy. To live is to suffer, or to accept the possibility of future suffering. You're really scared of me now, aren't you? I really just want you to be happy. Nika starts crying during this. You try to comfort her and keep moving. In the room directly ahead is a poster. Nika says that when she grows up, she will be on posters and in magazine cutouts too. Lera asks, how are you going to achieve that? Nika responds, well, I'll be really pretty and smart and work super hard and be nice to everyone. Lera, perhaps projecting, do you think that'll be enough? Nika gets upset. Why are you ruining my dreams? Because you don't have any of your own? You can still pick something to believe in. You said that you didn't have a future, but you can't dream of anything still? Lera states the obvious here. I don't have a future because I'm dying in a labyrinth of my own hallucinations. Nika apologizes and begs you not to leave. You then get into an elevator. Nika asks if you're afraid to die. Yes, I'm terrified of it. I think that's probably why I started driving. I thought that I'd be able to quietly disappear this way, be swallowed up by a snowdrift and be gone. Cleanly, bloodlessly. I couldn't accept a finite death. Are you afraid of it? Nika responds that she won't die because they love her. Like when an ant dies, it gets eaten and repurposed into other ants, so the ant colony never dies. Don't you think it would be nice to live indefinitely without fear or want? Now we're here on the next floor. In a room with papers, Lara reflects about Tatlin the architect and how lucky he was to be able to dream. When I started university, I thought I could be like him, dreaming up utopian megastructures for a new era. Nika responds, "You're still alive, Lera. You still have time to become part of something great." Down the elevator, Nika shows you her secret hideout with flowers. Then to the final floor. Come to a room, a pool with no water in it. There's a piano in the middle of the pool. Nika says she likes the echoes down here. You ask if she's lonely. She says sometimes someone comes here every other year. Sometimes someone comes here once a decade, so I'm used to being lonely. I tried to leave 73 times. It didn't work. Then she plays some piano for us, but the meat is really the one playing. Her family helps her play. People will come and go and go and go, but my family will be here forever. Aren't you scared of being lonely? Aren't you scared of cold death and of the snow outside? Lera admits, the sound is beautiful. I wish I could be together like it. My brain hates my body. My soul is nowhere to be found. I'm a human being in 15 discordant parts, all at war. Nika gets up and you enter the hallway to the final part of the final floor. She asks if you are excited to be part of something greater, to never be hungry or scared. You don't respond. You arrive, a room full of meat and a dark pit. There are 1 billion lonely people, all separated by their flimsy flesh. I wish everyone was able to be happy. I wish the epidermis would disappear. Outside, the snow is piled 3 feet high, and everyone is consumed with hatred. It's cold and loveless. That's why you came here, isn't it? To escape? You won't die, you'll return to the barrierless existence preceding birth. Will it be painful? No. Lera stops. She says that she wants to see her family's cat again. Nika asks, "Are you afraid of happiness? Are you afraid that you'll realize that a better future was always possible, and that you've wasted time running away from it?" Here is the choice that determines which ending you'll get. If you choose to go down into the flesh as Nika wishes, it replays memories of your childhood but altered. The children who were mean to you at the start are now nice. Your mom comes to bring you inside for dinner. This is the happy ending. If you choose not to go, you say you can't give up and disappear. I'd rather die being crushed between walls of concrete and sinew. Nika asks, "You want to leave me here alone again?" Lara insists, "I just want to live, to see tomorrow no matter how painful or lonely it is. I'm not ready to say goodbye to the outside world, to getting stuck in traffic, catching a cold, waiting next to an annoying person in line." Nika tries one last time to convince you. You want to starve alone in a lonely and loveless world. Lara stays steady. I want to keep on fighting. I can't give up and let myself disappear. Finally, Nika just asks, "You'd rather die trying to escape than let yourself be happy?" If you tell her yes, she props open a hole in the meat and tells you to hurry. You ask her why she's doing this. She responds, "You were right, Lera. Your life, your precious fragile life, is yours alone. You won't find a way out of here. But it's better than accepting a fate you despise, isn't it? I'm going to be alone again. I'm going to miss you. I felt for a moment that I had a friend, that I'd become a normal girl who could go to school and have a pet kitty. It was nice. Thank you. This is the true ending. This game answers the question, what is scarier than dying, with already being dead but wanting to live. Piecing together the true story of Lera, she is a young woman who once dreamed of being a cosmonaut, and later dreamed of being an architect who would change the world. At some point she gave up on all those dreams, and in her isolation and loneliness decided to drive away from it all. She decided to end her life by crashing in some remote location, and so, on her way through Siberia, she crashes, but does not instantly die. In her near-death state, she dreams of this supernatural town in which she meets Nika, who takes her through her memories. Nika manifests as perhaps a younger and more idealistic version of Lera, because she is a spirit who meets people before they die, and offers for them to be assimilated into the mass of flesh that makes up her family. Nika hopes to offer these people solace in their final moments, and fills their head with happy memories so they can die happy. If this theory is correct, this would also explain why Nika is constantly worried about Lera leaving her throughout the game. Nika is worried that Lera's body might just give out and die before Nika is able to do her duty. The true ending alludes to this the strongest. The game is truly tragic, because Lera has realized that she does in fact want to live. She regrets crashing and wants to cling to life, even if that is ultimately hopeless. The flesh prison will not allow her to escape, because Lera is already dead. No amount of new revelations will undo the damage already done. This game tells an incredibly sad and tragic story, but it is actually pretty realistic. Attempts are usually regretted by people who survived them. Even if it is for a reason as simple as wanting to see your childhood cat again, there is always a reason to cling to life, and it's far better to cling to life while we still have it, rather than realizing when it's already too late. The message of this game is important, and if you had a different theory about what Flesh, Blood, and Concrete was about, or any interesting details I missed, feel free to share your thoughts. Finally, thank you to my Patreon supporters. Thank you, and see you next week.